October 5 of last year, nagluksa ang buong showbiz industry dahil sa pagpano ng pinakamagandang movie queen ever. Yan po si Amalia Fuentes. On the occasion of her first death anniversary, we are revisiting her old house here in an exclusive subdivision in Quezon City. And for this episode of This is Showbiz, kakausapin natin ang kanyang nag-iisang apong lalaki, si Alfonso Martinez. I'm talking to you now as part of the tribute to the great
Yeah.
Amalia Fuentes.
Yeah.
No? So now, I just want to know, how was it like to be the grandson of Amalia Fuentes?
Well, I met my. I would just call her Lola. I always found it weird when people refer her like to Amalia Fuentes. Because for me, she's always just been Lola. And when I first met Lola, I was living in the States. And we were just living a normal life. Like, my early memories of her is like going to Half Moon Bay when I was a kid. And then we was going to the beach. She would pick me and my sister up. And would just drive us around in the States. So that was my initial memory of her. She was just a normal Lola. And when I moved here when I was mga 10, 11, it was kind of a weird adjustment because I didn't even know my parents were show business. Like I grew up as a normal kid lang. And it was kind of unusual at first. But you get used to it, and I always feel touched now when like fans would talk to me, especially older na parang your lola, when you were younger, and then the rivalry with Tita Susan, mga things like that. I'm like, I couldn't comprehend kasi American boy, some kid from the States I didn't know, and as soon, as I got older, I appreciated it more, especially her persona na medyo siga siya. Kasi when I was younger, medyo lampa ako eh. I was really thin and sickly, so I always remember when I was in LaSalle kindergarten, syempre, as a new kid, pag binubuli ako, didamanda kayo ng lola ko. I'd always make that joke. And, I felt proud, especially, my dad, my mom, my cousins, na, it's very, it's hard to explain to some people since, they didn't grow up with it. But like for me, I feel a little bit proud when strangers would go up to them and or take pictures or tell them like how their craft helped them during things were sad. So I always felt proud and pressured at the same time. Kaya I was medyo shy growing up kasi it was very unusual na parang all these people and the way they talk about my family, and it was hard. I won't say hard. It was unusual. Yun na lang. It's very unusual growing up. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and when I grown to know my lola more, yeah, it's like when I found out about her, or let's say, when she was younger, like some of these photos that I found, these have been hidden and haven't been seen in like decades. And there was for a while I only had a certain mind's eye view of how she was. And then when I would see her in her 20s, I'm like, I'd even show it to my sisters, like, shit, this is how Lola looked like in her 20s. It's such a high,
Elizabeth Taylor.
it's such a high, high standard to live in. Lolo Bobby, and then parang how they lived, how they dressed up. So it's always been intimidating. It's just, yeah, I think that's better. It's been intimidating and lovely experience.
Pero was she a spoiler or a disciplinarian?
She spoiled us. Super spoiled. My mom kasi and my dad, especially my dad kasi is very health conscious. So, in our house, bawal delata, bawal pancit canton, bawal soft drinks. And then my dad and my mom only like red rice, black rice, bawal, it's very strict. And that's why when I was younger, I'd always enjoy coming over here kasi when my lola kasi is very rebellious. She likes annoying, yun yung pa-cute niya to my parents eh. She likes annoying my parents. So, all ng bawal pwede dito, like, soft drinks, the bad stuff. So she'd always spoil us in a good way naman. But she never like spoiled, which I appreciate. She never spoiled me or my sisters na, there's some people na, kotse or these really wild things. It's just her, I call him daddy, my Tito Joey. They just raised us like as normal kids.
Joey Stevens.
Yeah, Joey Stevens. Yeah, I call him daddy kasi, so I sometimes call other people Tito Joey. So he treated me and my siblings like his own grandchildren, and we just had like a normal childhood. Like we just go. There was a time when Mega Mall. It was only Mega Mall and Shangri-La before. Like every Sunday, we'd go to church. My lola. That's the only thing she'd always indulge me in. If she wouldn't buy me like expensive gadgets, but if it's a book or a magazine, as long as it's reading or traveling, they'd always support. So, yeah, it was just...
So let us bust the myth na she was a Korean.
Okay, for my lola, I always understood kasi my lola, she'd always tell me, she grew up during the war, and I always understood na any generation naman that grows up goes through things like that, hardships, it's like ingrained in their psyche to be like that. So I never naman took it against her na, like there was a time, kung may sale, she'll buy lots of delata. When I was younger, maybe I didn't understand why are we buying so much. But then when I got a little bit older, I understood because when she was younger, they didn't have much. It was Japanese time, and then you just always had to have, things just in case something happens. So she wasn't naman, I don't like the word but she was very rational, practical. There, better. She's very practical, and she just enjoys sales. I mean, who doesn't enjoy sale?
Yeah.
Who doesn't enjoy sale? Like, she was, kung buti, di niya naabutan yung mga those Lazada 99 sales. Kung hindi, she would have gone crazy with those. But she was just very practical lang. But when there was something, let's say something that's built well or worth it naman, she would splurge naman once in a while. But never naman to my knowledge, never too crazy. I mean, I wasn't around during the golden age. Maybe she was crazier with her purchases then. But from my point of view, she was just the right amount, which I enjoyed because I had to learn at a young age how to like, the term we always use, how to make her langis. So I always had to make like an argument. If I needed something, I had to really present to her, hey, this is why I need it. This is why it's important for my school or for whatever. So she just wasn't like, oh, here, blank check or whatever, get whatever you want. She was never to either of us. She was never or kuripot or spoiled. It was just the right amount.
Was she ever masungit to you?
Well, I feel like naman all families naman you have those moments and tampuhans, and that's normal. Like if a family didn't have those kinds of moments, I don't think it's a functioning family. It's my lola say it can get intense, but at the end of the day, like me and her, we're the most different. Her and my sisters had a little bit more friction kasi I always have this thing, mga mulak na girl especially the eldest, are very strong personalities. So it's like, that's why me and my lola got along a lot because we were total opposites. Like when she's very larger than life. Me, I'm very quiet kasi, and like, I just like observing things. So we always got along well. And like when we have our tampuhans, I know for a fact, like, let's say, nag-away kami. As soon as I visit her, I visit her here, I just go knock in her room, then she forgets it. It's just like any normal lola. She never even she held grudges, pero you just had to be, I guess it comes from her generation. Like, if you wanna, don't expect her to be the one, because, I just have to be the one to say sorry, and,
And she's the grandmother.
and she's my lola, so it's her right naman talaga. So, hey, so like it's like all families. You have the moments of tampuhan, but it was never like crazy.
Pero kasi your mom was also my friend, no?
Yeah.
Pero and she would share para bang nagkakaroon yata ng ano to because parang your lola felt like parang dinideprive kayo, dinideprive siya ng makita kayo. Parang may ganun. Ang explain siya naman ng mom mo para bang look, ang mga anak ko may sarili ng lakad yung mga yan. Yun.
Yeah. Like I said, mga mulak na eldest are strong personality. So, syempre, my mom and my lola would have, their friction once in a while. And even me and my siblings, my lola would... The thing kasi is, we'd make the joke, kami lang apo niya eh. So, some lolas kasi, they have lots of apos. It's only us three, and I understand na why, she wants to see us a lot. And my mom naman would never deprive. It was just, syempre, I don't know, the mother and daughters have their weird things going on sometimes.
Yeah.
But we never naman, we never naman like deprived each other, seeing each other. It's just, there's just sometimes, when they have their own tampuans,
You
which is
never got
normal.
caught in between the friction.
Well, actually, ako kasi when my lola's in a bad mood, my tito Joey, my mom, anyone, ako lagi, parang parang Navy SEALs, ako yung panglangis. So when she's in a bad mood, they send me over, and, I'm just used to it. It's okay naman. It's like that. When people are just older, now that I'm older na rin, sometimes also with your health, depending on sometimes it's not a mental thing, your physical well-being, and, during the early days, people didn't know naman, like, how sugar would react to you or these certain things. And when my lola had like early stage of diabetes, syempre when the sugar would go up and down, it would affect her mood. So it was just something that I had to consider. Like, I would take, when I would hang out with my lola, I just had to be double sure with her intake. Not too much sugar, not too little. Everything naman was okay. Like with any old person naman, it was nothing out of the ordinary naman.
Yeah. Now, this is, my next question is kind of sad. Kasi
Yeah.
parang, with your mom, leaving this world,
Yeah.
was that the time na depressed talaga ang lola mo?
Oh yeah.
Do you think yung CQ ailment niya started there?
I mean, when I spoke to my lola after, I mean, kasi my mom technically isn't her firstborn. She's her eldest, but my mom was supposed to have a younger brother. It was a miscarriage between her and Tito Joey, and it was really painful for her then to lose a child. And when my mom passed, syempre, like, it's the usual. No parent ever wants to bury their own child, and going through these photos and old stories, no matter the differences between my mom and grandma, no one could deny the fact na my lola, maybe she loved her too much, like treated her like a princess, and for her only daughter to pass that way was very painful for a parent. And at that time, my lola was staying alone, so it was difficult. And she would of course also tell me it also, like you said, like her, I don't know what you call it, her willpower, her soul. Parang she just felt, parang at this point, like my kid's gone. You know, I'm burying my daughter, so she just lost her will for a while, and you know, she was really, because of the years prior to that, she was really praying, and we were really trying to deal with, you know, my mom's cancer. So yeah, after when my mom passed 2015, you know, she wasn't really taking care of herself as much, and you know, it was, I would try to tell her, but you know, at a certain age, people don't listen to you anymore. So yeah, it was very difficult for her and for us during that time period. Yeah, in 2015 onwards.
I know for a fact that she tried enjoying life finally after that. Kasi parang sa MTRCB, lagi mag-ublaot yan eh.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah.
she started traveling.
She started traveling because she really tried to travel, because that's the one thing since I was younger, and the one thing I appreciated from her the most is her love to travel. And when we would travel, even when I was younger, it was never about like a picture sa ganyan or whatever. It's just, I've always enjoyed history. I've always enjoyed eating, you know, seeing the sights. So she always told even my mom na nothing. That's the best school, is just meeting different cultures and learning about the world. And she tried. She really tried at the latter part, even if she, you know, syempre she's old na, she had a hard time to really travel as much as she could in her remaining years. That's why, sadly, she had her stroke in Korea while traveling. Kasi, you know, I was telling her, you know, Korea, at least, I was like thinking at the time, it's near lang. Kasi gusto niya yung mga India and mga, she wanted to go back to Egypt. And I was like thinking, it's kind of too difficult na at that point. So I was like, Korea. But yeah, she was medyo pushing it just to get out of the house, just to get out of Manila, just to, you know, the depression, you know, when my mom passed. So yeah.
But how did it feel? I know this is difficult, no? How did it feel like? Parang, alam mo, she was full of life, and then all of a sudden when she got sick, bedridden, and
It was actually, honestly, for me, very difficult. Kasi during the latter years, I would keep her company here kasi in the house. And, you know, we would make kwentuhan. I would keep her company kasi in her bed. So, um, we just talk about books and talk about life and things and talk about show business, talk about movies. And suddenly, syempre, like, when she had her stroke, it was just so unusual for me na she was just so helpless, and like she couldn't talk, and you know, and everyone knows for a fact na well, my lola has a strong personality, and suddenly all these people coming out of the woodwork were taking advantage. Since she was in a more compromised position, so it was difficult na at that point na, since I was her favorite apo, since I was her only grandson, it parang just to, I had to like, okay, you know, your Lola Bobby passed away, you know, Lola's bedridden, Tito Joey passed away, my mom's gone, so I just, like all these big personalities, I had to imbibe to take care of my Lola during that time, you know, and it's difficult, especially because my Lola, since, you know, for me, of course, I'm selfish. She's my Lola, but to other people, she's also something else. So trying to balance that with everyone, plus taking care of her and protecting her. And my older sister at the time was in the States. My younger sister had her own life, and thankfully, my dad during that time, you know, he would assist, but he never got involved in a way na, you know, he just gave me the full responsibility. He helped me when I asked for it, but he never forced his hand. He never, you know, he's just like, that's, you know, just he taught us well, in short. So
but you know what? Kasi kami mga friends ng lola mo,
yeah,
we were just so happy that time that he decided to take over. Para bang we
yeah,
knew na she'd be in good hands eh.
Yeah, it's difficult, but yeah, I mean, at that point, I'm like, who else? Like, there are some people who wanted to take care of her or forced their way to take care of her, but I'm like, who else at this point? You know, like if my mom didn't pass,
That would have been your mom.
there would be no
Yeah.
question who would be the one. And since during I guess it's sad to think about it, but like when my mom was sick, um, like my staff, me, my sisters, my dad, we were used to taking care of a cancer patient of like, you know, the requirements involved, the hospitals. So when I was taking care of my lola when she had her stroke, it, it was like a difficult training. I mean, it was a little bit easier now since I had to go through something like that, but it's still very difficult. Especially, yeah, it was hard.
Balak nyo para sa babang luksa.
What's
It is the first, yung first anniversary, para bang, it's a very Filipino tradition na after 1 year, usually, of course, we cannot have a get together, no? Kasi given the pandemic times.
honestly, it's it's difficult because of pandemic. And what also makes it extra sad, syempre, my lola's barkada are all medyo high risk na rin. They're not allowed out. And um, honestly, as of now, my only immediate plans, since again my sister's also pregnant, bawal rin lumabas ang pregnant. They're strict. So like what I've always said with this home is we just wanna. I think my lola would appreciate that more. Na we'll just celebrate her life with her next apostatuhod and just bring life into the home and just give the energy of happiness lang. Like no more sadness. I don't want talking about what's going on in the world politics. It's just happiness, celebrate her life. That's why I took some of her photos out, and then maybe some of the closer family members will just be here and try to socially distance, but nothing. Well, you can't. Like I said a while ago, it's like all rules are off. We don't know. It's so difficult to plan. Like in my wedding, like when I had my proposal a month ago, it's like you have all these plans before COVID, suddenly it's gone. So just something simple lang for the year. And my lola naman, um, she enjoyed, the whole showbiz. But she's also a simple person, quiet lang. She just enjoyed being with family. So I hope she will, we'll prepare a little small something for her. But yeah, as of now,
Well, if
that's
you
all
need
we can
help,
do.
I'm just down the
Yeah, we're
street.
just down the street. Yeah, we're just down the street. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's difficult to figure
yeah.
out. But we do small video stuff. But yeah,